Crafters, Janine here, and today I'm going to show you how I made this beautiful monogrammed last name plate. It is going to be a wedding present for some friends of mine in my church who are getting married. It is a beautiful personalized gift. It is not expensive to make, and I just think the finished product and the presentation is beautiful. It's personal, it's one of a kind, and it just doesn't get better than that. So if you'd like to see how I made this, stay tuned. Okay, I went ahead and designed or laid out the design that I'm going to be doing for this platter. And you can see I did it in 2 layers because I'm just doing this in 2 colors. I'm going to be doing the big eye in the background in black, and then I'm going to be doing the overlay, the rest of the name, and then the established 2015 in gold. So I went ahead and laid out the design in 2 layers, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it. I just wanted to show you what that looked like in the design software. And I went ahead and cut my contact paper to the correct size, 6 inches by 6 inches. And I cut out 2 pieces of contact paper, and I'm going to cut this in 2 different cuttings. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to be back and show you how we're going to apply it to the platter. As usual, when I'm starting with a painting piece on a ceramic or glass surface, I'm going to clean the surface with some alcohol just to make sure that there's no greasy residue or sticky residue, fingerprints, anything that would cause my stencil or the paint to not adhere properly to the surface. And I just really love this plate. It really is just a dinner plate that I got at Walmart. They sell them individually, and I just thought it was really a pretty design. And I thought, well, you know, that would make, I was thinking originally about doing the chalkboard, you know, center and doing it in the chalkboard style, but then a friend of mine was getting married, and I thought, you know, that would make a really good monogram platter. I just love the colors and the style of it, so that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to be working with the Folk Art multi-surface paints. This one is licorice, and I went ahead and cut my first stencil, which was the letter I. And for the stencil, we're working with the negative or the relief. We're not working, see, normally when you're working with Cricut, you know, you're working with the piece that you cut out, with the die cut piece that you cut out. Oh, I'm showing you completely backwards. But we're actually going to be working with what's left over, which is the negative. So we're going to be working with this part. So I'm going to go ahead and peel the backing off. I think I'm going to go ahead and trim it down first. Now this has a tendency to want to curl, so I'm just going to hold it down while I finish peeling the backing off. Not as a matter of placement, but just to kind of hold it and keep it from curling. I'm just kind of sticking it to the plate. It'll just make my life a little easier so that it doesn't stick to itself. Okay, now I can work on placement. I really wish after all that I could say, okay, this is the easy way to do this. I really don't see there was an easy way to do that. But the only thing I can say is this kind of this middle piece here in the middle of the eye was to kind of get it out of the way until I had the outside part laid down flat, because it seemed like it kept getting in the way and causing everything to go askew if it stuck in place before the outside did. So kind of sticking it out of the way and then doing the outside. Now I'm just gonna, I think what I'm gonna do is grab my burnishing tool from my Cricut kit and just make sure the edges, and I'm not using a great deal of pressure, just a light pressure, just making sure that the edge all the way around the letter is really adhered well, because I don't want the paint to seep under the stencil. Okay, now the other thing I did was, of course, when there's a middle part to the eye, so when the Cricut cut out the eye, of course I saved that middle part, so I want to make sure and stick that in. And I've still got my Cricut design up on my computer screen where I can see it, so I make sure I get that placement in the appropriate spot. So I've got it where I can see it as a point of reference, and I'll go ahead and peel the backing off. So you have to work, when you're working with a stencil and the enamel paint, you do have to work rather quickly, and you do have to put the paint on a little bit thick. Okay, in the past I have used paint brushes and a foam brush to apply this enamel paint. Today I'm going to use a cosmetic sponge, and since I've touched this platter, I'm just going to go ahead just with a little alcohol. I'm just going to hit it with a little alcohol again, just to make sure that surface is clean. But anyway, this time I'm going to try it with a makeup sponge. And I got some paper towel handy to do a little blotting. It's funny, you do all that work to get the stencil laid down so perfectly and just right and even as can be, and it's only down there for a couple of minutes. Isn't that hilarious? But it's so worth it. Look how beautiful that is. Now, I think I have come up with a way to get that middle piece out. I don't know, honestly, if it doesn't come out clean as a whistle, I'm probably going to cry. This is a little tool from my Cricut kit, and it's just got a pointed kind of crooked end, and I'm just going to poke it in the middle and try and pick it out. About the only other thing I could suggest when you have a piece in the middle like this and there really is no way to get it out when you've got wet paint like this, would be to let it dry and then take something like an X-Acto knife and then just cut around the edge as carefully as possible to cut the paint away from the edge of the stencil, and then remove it once the paint is dry. Otherwise, I really just don't know how to tell you how to get a piece out from the middle like this without disturbing the wet paint. Oh my goodness, isn't that beautiful? I could not be happier. Okay, so we do have to let this dry completely before we go on to layer number 2. So I'm going to let this dry for 1 hour. and then I'm going to come back and we're going to do the second layer. I let the paint dry an hour, and I also went ahead and warmed it up with my blow dryer and then let it cool off. I just wanted to put a little heat on it to kind of help set the paint. Don't know if it worked or not, to be honest with you. Mentally it helped, I guess, because in my thought process, I'm just a little concerned that when I put the next stencil down that it might pull some of the black paint up. So I was thinking if I set it with a little bit of heat that might prevent that from happening. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the next stencil off of the cutting mat. And I don't know how well you can see that on the camera, but the reason I laid them out on the layers on the software the way I did is so that when I lay them, I didn't have to do them in two separate cuttings or two separate stencils. I'm going to lay this down because when I lay it down on the plate, the established 2015 and the rest of the name are going to be placed exactly where I want them in relation to the eye. That's the theory. Hopefully it's going to work out that way. And again, I'm going to have to take the like the middle part of the E and the middle part of the S, both S's, and place them in the middle so that they'll look like they should when we apply the paint. So I'm not going to discord those little center pieces in all of these little areas here. And as before, I'm going to go ahead and trim off this excess edge. I did go ahead and cut my contact paper a little bit larger than I needed it to be, just in case my measurements were off by a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to get all the little center pieces out and get them placed. Whew, that was some tedious work, and I really and truly hope it's going to be worth it. Happier or more pleased with the way the eye turned out. It is just really, really beautiful. So, holding my breath, crossing my fingers, and saying a little prayer that this goes just as beautifully as the first layer did. And again, with a makeup sponge that I got from the dollar store. Oh, and I'm sorry, the paint again is a faux quartz enamel paint, and it's just simply metallic gold. Okay, I can tell you right now the metallic gold is not going to layer as well wet as the black did. So I am going to go ahead and get my blow dryer out and dry it for just a little bit, and then layer it some more, and hopefully I won't have any issues with the stencil peeling the paint up. Okay, moment of truth. Hopefully this stencil will not peel the paint up and everything will come off clean as a whistle. Oh. I'm not in love with the fact that this happened, but I am kind of glad that this happened because it gives me an opportunity to show you that sometimes things don't go the way that you planned, but don't get frustrated. Don't give up. There's a way to make it work. First off, I'm going to take a paintbrush and I'm going to fix the little bit of the name here that is missing, because this actually didn't come out too bad. And what I'm going to do is cut another little piece of contact paper and recut the established 2015 part and redo that stencil. I'm going to go ahead and fix, again with a paintbrush, I'm just going to go ahead and fix the eye. Just fill it in and let it dry. And I'm just gonna lay the paint on really thick and pull that stencil up right away. That's the only way I'm gonna be able to make it work, but I'm gonna be able to make it work and it's gonna look great. And by the time I give that gift, nobody is ever gonna know that there was ever a mistake. Okay, I saved you the agony of watching me have to put this stencil down again. But watch close, because this is going to be fast and furious. I am going to put this paint down really thick, really fast, and get this stencil up just as quick as I can. You can see I just went over the areas that didn't transfer that well in this area with a paintbrush, and then just cleaned up the eye where I'd messed it up a little bit, again with the black paint, the paintbrush. It looks good, so that's all fixed up. Looks really good. I can't say that I'm displeased because it just looks good. So here we go. Really thick. It's gonna have some texture to it because we're putting this down super thick. But I just don't see where we have another choice. I mean, I'm going to try and moosh it around a little bit, make it not be so textural, but I just don't see what else I can do at this point. The gold paint just isn't as opaque as the black paint. So I'm just not going to be able to get as good a coverage with as thin of a layer. So the only other option we have is to lay it down fairly thick. Ta-da! Oh, whew, I think I was holding my breath the whole time. Okay, now for the really difficult part, trying to get these little, you know what, I don't think I will. I think I'm just going to, because I honestly just think it's just going to make but otherwise, I just don't think it gets any better than that. I'm gonna let that dry, and then I'm gonna pick out the little pieces like in the middle of the S and the little area here in the O. There's one little piece here in the E and one little piece in the O and the 0. So once that's done, I'm gonna put this piece in the oven, in a cold oven. Set the temperature on 350. Once it reaches 350 degrees, I'm going to set a timer for 30 minutes. Once the timer dings, I'm going to turn the oven off. I'm going to leave the piece in the oven. Once it cools completely, I'm going to take it out and all the paint will be cured and should be permanently adhered. Once that process is complete, I'll come back and show you the finished piece. Well, just got this out the oven and it's completely cooled off, and I gotta tell you, even with the difficulties with this particular stencil and the problems that we had there, I couldn't be happier. I just think this looks really nice. I think it's going to be a beautiful gift. I think it makes a nice presentation, and I think my friends are going to be happy. And I'm also including a little easel stand for them to put it on, so the plate will rest on it like, oops, like so. So it'll sit on their table, fireplace, mantle, wherever they choose to put it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it inspires you to use some of the things you have on hand, or use maybe even just some inexpensive things and make them look really expensive and beautiful, and make some wonderful gifts for your friends and family. Thank you so much for watching, and you have a blessed day. Oh, and as always, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe.